Welcome to the recorded broadcast of the Bachelor Interactive Media Design of the Royal Academy of Art in The Hague. My name is Janine Huizenga and I'm the head of department. It's very ironic that we as an interactive media department have to use a pre-recorded broadcast, but hey, that's what we're here for, and we will elaborate on this later. We are enjoying, hopefully, your presence, nevertheless, and if you want to talk to us, you can always find us online. So have fun, and I hope to see you in live one day. Thank you very much. What I want to do in this short talk is introduce you to the mission of our department. And then later in little sessions, all the students will take the stage and they will talk about their experiences as interactive media design students during this pandemic, but also in relation to, of course, the profiles they want to achieve in terms of professionality and which courses they do and how they experience this quite broad education. We believe that a broad education is necessary for an interactive media designer. It's quite a new profession, and it's really technology touches upon all aspects of our lives, and it also brings together sectors that used not to work together. And our young designers are quite important to bridge the still sometimes traditional gaps between those sectors. For instance, in healthcare and technology, you need to be able to bring different stakeholders together, manage that, and come up with very good solutions of a practical but also very artistic quality. Because we are a design department in an art school, and that's very special. And why is that special? Because we actually have the ability to connect the artistic thinking and to social aspects of design. And this complements the very broad social awareness with a very personal artistic intuition. Our students have not only references and sources from the design professional field, but also from the artistic field. So they have a broader framework to operate from. And I would also like to tell you a bit more about what they do. So what kind of things do they learn? They learn how to work with technologies. I need to say, which is very important, there's no prior knowledge necessary. We really are looking for students who are interested in how technology shapes our lives and our interactions between each other, but also in relation to our natural environment. And have a critical stance toward it, because we find that important. And critical doesn't mean negative, but always bring the human aspect and the human scale and the natural scale. Organic and ways of interacting are interesting also for technology. Technology should not be leading us. Our interactivity and our ways of thinking as human beings should lead the technology and not the other way around. So what do they learn? Physical computing and electronics, a bit of low level, and they can extend it if they want, of programming for hardware and web development. They do 3D modeling a lot. VR is very popular, and virtual environments. They do 3D scanning, which is very popular, and 3D printing, of course, but also other subjects like media theory, art, design, and identity, which is very important for a creative professional. Who are you, and what makes your vision on the professional field and the society in the broader sense so unique, and how can you help create new culture, solutions, and interactions. Other subjects are media theory and art. So we have quite a focus on research and theory. That's very important. Anything that you do, any creative idea that you have needs to be rooted in a good, solid research. Academic writing is important. Of course, we're not a university, but we have quite a high level and expectation in that. But you are always guided in that, and it starts with creative writing. That also links up very nicely to our interactive storytelling, where you also learn how to create scenarios for either games, interactive movies, theater performance, which use interactive media, and so on. And last but certainly not least is we have quite a strong strain of professional practice skills running through all years. You learn how to work with an external client. So how do you make your budget? How do you communicate? How do you debrief? And you are also going to go on an internship as a student. So you have to go to a company. That can also be perhaps a media artist, but most of our students go to media labs and design companies. For the external partners, we have quite an interesting range because, as I said before, we cover many aspects of life where technology and society, where technology is present, which is basically everywhere. And we've just finished a very beautiful project with the province of South Holland and the city of The Hague in collaboration with Living Lab Scheveningen about data awareness at the boulevard of Scheveningen. What people don't know is data pollutes. So it's very important that you don't, it's not only about privacy, but it's also about the environment. And the fantastic, they will select 2 interactive installations and they will be actually built there and you will be able to see them in the future. So we're very excited about that. But we also have other subjects. We hope to pick up again our projects that we were supposed to do with the Onze Lieve Vrouwengasthuis Hospital in Amsterdam East concerning the use of smell, scent, for, as an interactive medium to evoke memories, pleasant memories for people with dementia. So again, their technology plays a totally different part. One is more about data awareness and social interaction and social awareness for that. The other one is really create a creative solution for people who are perhaps deprived of sensorial input, and technology can play a very small but significant part there. So what kind of students are we looking for? We have an immense international group of students in the whole school, but also in the apartment, and that gives a fantastic, rich perspective because everybody has their own background, their culture, their own stance on social awareness and technology, so that's fantastic. So you need to be able to operate and learn from this international environment. You need to have a critical and investigative attitude. You need to be curious. Curiosity is, one of our main skills, next to passion, of course. You need to be passionate about what you are critical about or curious about, that you really want to explore that and share that with others. You need to be interested in culture, tradition, and innovation. They go together. You can't have one without the other. We're not into innovation just for the sake of innovation. It needs to be rooted in a traditional societal awareness. International orientation, as I already mentioned, we have many religions, genders, nationalities, so you need to be able to maneuver, and it's so interesting in this very rich environment, and you need to like to talk to people who may have completely different ideas and perspectives and opinions than you have. You have to have the ability to work individually, but also in a group. Our IMD students are famous within the school, but also outside of school, for the ability to collaborate while maintaining a very strong personal identity. And last, but again not least, which is really important, we really root all our ideas, even if you are an artist, we really root it in society. We have one of the alumni who is now one of the most exciting young artists, media artists, and she really talks about how technology can help, or how we need to force technology to become more sensorial and how we can connect to each other. So again, it is rooted in a societal question, but it has a totally autonomous artistic approach, which we really like. So strong social awareness, and you need to feel the urgency to act. So not talk, not just conceptualize, but do and implement. We need to do this in the real world. What do they become? Where do they end up? Actually, last year's alumni, most of them already have jobs. I just mentioned Marlot Meijer. She was the winner of several prizes. and is a very exciting young media artist with lots of exhibitions at the moment. We have many of those, so do visit our social media channels for interviews with our alumni. They can become design and UX researchers when they focus much more on interaction and UX design. A very specific field. We have back-end developers that work really in web-based companies and as creative technologists. We have people who go for theater and stage design, because it's sometimes interactive media design also, we take the whole environment into account. So you can think about the staging of interaction, and therefore also you actually design an experience, not just a function, like I click on something and I get something back. It's much more than that. We really want to involve all the senses and the whole surroundings, the whole environment. Many of them find their way in the film industry and documentaries. Performative artists, we have many who both do practical things, like let's say they have jobs as photo editors or movie editors, but they also have their own professional practice on the side and as a performance artist. And fashion, interactive fashion, textiles. One of our third-year students is now going to enter her internship with Iris van Herpen, who is, of course, the epitome of how technology can change a fashion industry, a totally different way of designing. There's a lot to discuss, and it's very short time, and it's very strange to do this in this setting. It's a bit remote. We all prefer to be in the open day where we can actually meet each other, and you know, good questions and good conversations always come from a dialogue. And that's what's now missing. I'm just having a monologue, and I don't like that at all. So if you would like to know more, please do not hesitate to contact me. My email address will be in the chat, or which not working. No, will be sent to you. But you know, you can always contact the school. I am totally open for one-to-one video calls with parents or students who have more questions about our department, and I'm looking forward to meeting each other. So I want to finish this and now give the floor to our wonderful first-year students.
Thank you. Thank you.
Who have yesterday just had their first collective assessment, so they're a bit tired, but they are here.
Yes.
So here you go. The floor is yours.
Thank you.
So introduce.
Yeah, so I think we will start off by introducing ourselves briefly. I will start. I am Cherry. I'm from South Korea and Italy. I graduated my high school in 2019, and I took a gap year where I was able to focus on what I want to study. So I took my time to prepare my portfolio and also doing my own research on different institutions, and I finally got to KABK, and I'm a first-year student at IMD now. And what about you, Julie?
Yeah, about me. So I'm Julie. Hi. I'm straight out of high school. I went to high school in Amsterdam. I'm also from Amsterdam. I'm Dutch. And for me, when I had my exam year, COVID hit. So I never took exams officially. I did graduate, so yay. But that gave me the time to really focus on my portfolio and focus on where I wanted to take my next step. And then I ended up here, so yeah. What about you, Zoe?
My turn. Hello, I'm Zoe. I've done 2 studies before I started at KABK. They were all a bit more structured, and yeah, I wanted something else. I wanted to have a creative outlet. And so I started at KABK.
Yeah, I think we can talk about also why we chose IMD. And KABK. So we had to write motivation letters, we had to prepare our portfolios before we applied to KABK. And what was your motivation to come to KABK and IMD?
Well, for me, initially, the first thought was I just want to start somewhere. And what I love about IMD, about this whole department, is that the education is very broad. So you can still go into a lot of directions. You still are able to, you know, you're not focusing on getting into one profession. And that is what I need right now to also find myself a little bit and figure out where, you know, I want to end up. So yeah, that was for me the first reason to go to IMD. But also, you know, all this new technology, there's not a lot of people who are educated in this, especially in an artistic sense. So I also feel like that is something that is on the rise and that'll be like more popular and more important in the future. So yeah, thinking about the future also.
Yeah, the most interesting thing about IMD, in my opinion, is that it's changing with the society, that it's almost changing like every day, every year, which is definitely preparing you for the future when you graduate and when you want to dive into the field, you will be prepared for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And what about you, Zoe?
So I did 2 studies, as I mentioned before. I started doing graphic design in 2013. I did that, I finished that, and then I did CMD, Communication and Multimedia Design. But it was all, like I also said before, very structured. There was, you work for this company or that company. You don't get to experiment, like develop yourself. There was no space for that. So I'm 24. I'm a bit older than my classmates, but we also have someone in our class that is 50 years old. So it doesn't matter your age, whatever, you can always learn. There's always a time, there's always a moment to go to school, doesn't matter. But I was 24 and I was always playing it safe. So I went to the schools where I didn't have to do an enrollment because I wasn't sure about my creativity. But then I was 24 and I was just like, I'm gonna give it a try. And now I'm here.
Yeah, also for me, when I visited Open Day in 2019, so before COVID, I was actually able to physically present in the academy where I got to meet also now alumni of IMD and also the current students. And what I really liked about KABK in general was that it was so free, that everyone was just doing their own thing, minding their own business, but also being really creative. And I really liked this free environment. And I remember also writing in my motivation letter that I like to be in this environment. Also the fact that it's so international brings in a lot of different perspectives. So yeah, that was also one of my motivations. And how do you think your portfolio or motivations kind of reflected in your portfolio?
Oh yeah, so talking about portfolio, that was like my biggest fear. I remember we had an online call, of course, because of COVID, and I remember I've never been as nervous as I was in my life at that moment. It was insane. But I remember when I visited the Open Day, I was also physically there, I was talking to Anna Adolf, and she's a writing teacher. I do not have her now, but I will have her next year. And I was talking to her about portfolio, and she told me, like, it's not as much about what you can do right now, but it's about your potential and what you will be able to do in the future. And because of that conversation that I had with her right then, that's why I decided, like, okay, I'm just gonna try. So yeah, here we are right now. So yeah, for me, I was not as much worried about what was in my portfolio as much as I was worried about, okay, how is the conversation gonna go? How am I like gonna bring my personality like over in a good way? But yeah, so far so good.
Yeah.
Because we're right here.
You're in here. So
I'm in here.
you succeeded.
Yeah,
Yes.
for me it was already strange to see, I was 4 faces on the screen and I had to do my talk. That was already very weird.
Yeah, for sure.
But I already had a portfolio, of course. And I made a video that was very short. It was an animation video and I did the music that was on there. But for me, it was a message that I really wanted to portray. And I think the teachers just saw that and could connect with it. So it wasn't like very special or very big. It was just the message in there that was important. And I drew, I did the animation, I did like all kinds of different medias in there. And yeah, I just knew that this study would suit me very well. So
Yeah. So also very personal.
yeah, it was very
personal.
I mean, yeah, we get a lot of space and time to experiment with it and to develop it.
Yeah, in
I like
class we share a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do.
A lot of personal stories, which also go into our works.
Mhm.
And when we present, we give each other some context of where we're coming from and what are we trying to communicate. And I think that kind of create a very nice, comfortable, cozy community in the class. Also
Yeah.
because we're only 13 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice, small community.
Yes.
Maybe we can also talk about what it is like to live in The Hague, living so close to the beach, and also in the second and third year they just finished their collaboration with working in the Scheveningen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, how is it for you guys? Also for Zoe, you lived in The Hague for a very long time.
Very long time. Yeah, I was born here, so I'm very used to the beach. But like Cherry said, we have a very small group, and we're very like tight. We really all like each other, and we hang out a lot. And we also made like a little pact that when we're like very stressed out about collectives or individuals, that we go to the beach and we just go sit down and watch the sunset.
Yeah, we cry a little.
Yeah, we cry a little because so much to do, but so fun. Yeah, so we do that, but like, I mean, I like it very much that I only have to go on my bike and bike for 5 minutes.
Yep.
That's very nice.
Everything is reachable by
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
bike. And
Yeah.
what about you? You lived in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And you just moved.
Yeah,
to
I moved to The Hague 1.5 weeks ago, so it's all very, very new. No, but I used to commute from Amsterdam, which is doable, but still, the city is not entirely yours. So I wanted to move here to like really ground myself, to be able to see my classmates more, to not always be like, oh guys, I have to go, the last train is going in like 5 minutes. But yeah, so far so good. Of course, it's not the same in COVID times, but I feel like we are making like smart solutions to still make that work. We hang out together safely. Like, for example, the beach is like a great way for us to still see each other. And of course, because art education falls just under practical education, so we are allowed to be in the school some days, which is so amazing. That's so nice. But on the days that we're not allowed to be here, we also find ways to still work together in a safe way. 4 of us now, we are hiring a studio space very close to the KABK, so that we have like a general space that we can all be, that we can all work and still like have this working mood outside of your own house. So yeah, I feel like we're making smart solutions,
Yeah,
and I
we're
feel
making it work.
we're making it work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for an international student like me, well, coming to a foreign country and also living independently in a foreign city was scary, but I think The Hague itself is already very, very international. I think more than 50% of the residents are international actually, which makes it so much better and so much more convenient. Everyone speaks such good English and everyone's also very friendly in my opinion. So it's really coming from personal experience of a little like period of my life in The Hague, it has been really nice and I felt welcomed. Yeah. Maybe we can move on to what our experience was in the first year. We just finished our first semester.
Yes.
Yesterday we had our
Yesterday,
collective.
yeah.
Yes.
So what was your favorite assignment of the semester?
My favorite assignment. My favorite assignment was still the first assignment we had in Johan's class, Art, Design and Identity. where we could do whatever we wanted. And like only like that sentence was like so nice to me. I could do whatever I wanted. So yeah, I made a video that was also very personal to me. It was me and my dad, and it was solely focused on our facial expressions and how that, yeah, how we communicate with each other. And I was very happy with the result. So that's, yeah, that's something really nice. I'm proud of. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a
thank you, Chair.
very, very strong.
Thank
I
you.
loved it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Julie.
Actually, I found that assignment really difficult.
Okay, but what about you? What about you?
Me, I think it has to be survival guide from visual communication from Florian's class. Also because it was one of the biggest projects that I've done in the semester, and usually I'm not really happy about my works when I produce them, but this time I was really content about what I created. Also because I put a lot of effort and time in it, but I think it turned out really well, and also it made me kind of guide my interest. Now I know what I want to talk about, what I want to do, sort of, kind of. So
we're getting
now
there.
I'm like ready to like dive into the second semester so I can explore more in that passion that I just found. Yeah. What about you?
Same for me, actually. Also, well, for me, it's yeah, it also grew from the survival guide. So with Florian's class, visual communication, we started out at one point, and then it just slowly just grew into this ginormous semester project.
Yeah, it's called survival guide, but it's not really survival.
It's not
guide.
really
It
the
was
survival guide
ginormous.
anymore. Yeah, it's just it slowly like progressed into something, which means that there's also like a lot of history in your project. There's a lot of research. There's a lot of progress. There's yeah. For me, it was really nice to see how I work in that way in like this long-term project where you need to keep developing. And I think that because of that, because you have to keep developing, yeah, you know, you're happier with the end result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, do you have anything that you want to share in the, you know, for the prospective students?
For the future students.
Yes.
If you want a creative outlet, if you want a school to have a creative outlet, you don't know exactly what you want to do, but you know that you want to express yourself in some kind of way, or technological, or however. There are many different ways you can express yourself in IMD. If you want to do that, then yeah, come study at IMD.
Yes, join us.
Join us.
The next who's going to present is Dave Villet. He is our coordinator, but also teacher professional practice skills. And he will talk you through how to make a portfolio and to present.
Hello everyone. I'm Dave Villet, coordinator, teacher and study coach at the department. So you just have heard the story from the first year students, and you have looked at our website, I suppose, and you've decided to apply for our department. First of all, good choice. I will take you through the application procedure. Very practical session, so bear with me, but it is very crucial information. So there are 4 steps in the application procedure. Step 1, apply via StudyLink. Step 2, upload your portfolio documentation. Step 3, an interview with the committee. And step 4 is finalizing the application procedure with some official documentation. I will take you now through all the steps, as there are a lot of times many questions on, for example, portfolio. So first of all, very practical part, which is the StudyLink application. So to apply for our department, you can do this by going to the website of KABK, and then you have the application button for our department. You have to set up a StudyLink account to do this. For Dutch residents, you can use your DigiD code, and for other international students, you have to make an account, so with your own username and password. When you have done that and you log in, you try to find the application part where you can choose for the Royal Academy of Art, and then the department Interactive Media Design. When you have done this part, you will receive an automatic reply with the message, upload the required documents. So, step 2 is then the important part, to upload your documentation. And uploading your documentation requires 4 different elements. 1, your portfolio. 2, your CV. 3, motivational letter. And number 4, an assignment. First up, your portfolio. And we always have the most questions about this part, as people wonder, what do we seek in a portfolio? Let me remind you first that your portfolio is for you to present yourself. We want to get to know you. We want to get to know your works, and we want to have an understanding on what you are able to do, practically, skills, but also, of course, what your interests are. Are there certain topics you address which you care about and that you find the urge to turn them into a project? So whatever the outcome is, this is of importance to us. And the variety of media which you use only makes it more fun for us to see. So if it's digital, if it's analog, if you go very classic into paintings and drawings, or if you create VR or AR installations, just share this with us. Again, we are interested in you. What might be interesting to also include is the process. How did you come up with the final result of your project? Why is this of interest to us? Well, when you share your process, we can see, for example, certain decisions you made. Maybe you went very broad in the beginning in a certain topic and then suddenly found your way. That helps us to get even if it's a small insight on how you work and how you make decisions. So don't be shy in also sharing those elements in your portfolio. Same as, for example, the research part of your process, or just also in your general interest. The letter of motivation. There where your portfolio is a visual document to introduce yourself, your letter of motivation is your, let's say, your written plea on why you think interactive media design is the right department for you. You share your ambition, what you would like to learn, and how that fits in the profile of our department. This also helps us a lot of times in seeing where you, for example, also come from. Your letter can also support, for example, your curriculum vitae, your CV. That brings us to the third element, your CV. Your CV is a very business professional document. And in your CV, you just state your educational past, together with your skills, software mastered, and also maybe your competencies. And I'm talking, for example, on the soft skills. Are you a team player? Or are you maybe more someone who is in line with the research within a group? These are elements you can include in your CV. We then go to the assignment. For already quite a while, we ask applicants the following assignment: design an object which triggers interaction. Yep. It is that vague, and you don't get any more information. Design an object which triggers interaction. Through that assignment, we want to know how you address this assignment. What is the object? How will you give it form to trigger the interaction? And maybe most important, what to you does interaction mean? So we leave it with that in the explanation of the assignment. Yeah. I hope you're still with us. When you have all this documentation, which I just explained about, you upload it through StudyLink, and then the committee already assesses to either invite you for an interview or not. Well, when you are invited for an interview, we, of course, hope in normal circumstances to get you over here to the academy, but at this moment, all interviews will take place online. During this interview, you present your portfolio again, we talk about your motivation, and of course, we will be very curious on what you made out of the assignment. The final step, after approximately 1 week, 1.5 weeks after the interview, you will receive the result. If this result is positive, then from out of the department, you are admitted to the Royal Academy of Art, and you will be one of the newly fresh students in the upcoming academic year at Interactive Media Design. It is good to know that the application procedure already is open, so you can start uploading your material if you would like to. And we have admission rounds up until the month of July. Important notice for non-EU students, the deadline to upload your material is the 1st of April. This rounds it up for this informative session on the application procedure. We will now have a short break and get back to you with the second year of IMD.
So, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed our little slideshow. Of course, as you can see, these were all pre-pandemic, so we were still allowed to walk around without masks. Now that has totally changed. As you can see also in the setup, we have perfect distance. I would like now give the floor to our second year students who will also talk about their experience in studying what it is to study at IMD at the Royal Academy of Art in The Hague. The floor is yours.
Hi, we're the IMD second years. I'm Hague.
I'm Thijs.
My name is Pam.
And we actually, each of us prepared questions, questions to ask each other, and I can start. Okay, Pam.
Yeah, Hague.
How's then studying with non-traditional art skills in an art academy?
Well, at first, I mean, I consider myself as someone who didn't have that many traditional art skills. So to me, it was something that was making me nervous at first because I was like, okay, will I get examined on these skills? But like the skills that you need in the end, they are like there's not room to learn them and on the way, and you find out what skills do fit you well. So yeah, it is something that made me worry, but turned out to be okay in the end. Yeah. So on to the next. Thijs, how is the atmosphere in the group?
Well, I think that would depend on the year. I guess the first year was very intense with well, work pressure, but also IMD is a relative small study, so we were in there with I think about 15 people, and you see each other every day, and you present, and da da da. And then you know some people might leave, some people stay. So I think in the first year you're very much adjusting to being in the academy with each other, and you sort of have to deal with each other. And then I guess naturally in the second year we all sort of got confident because you know we were there with maybe a bit of a smaller group, but we knew each other, we knew that we were gonna stay, and so now it's very chill.
How much smaller is the group now? Because maybe people
well, I
want to
mean,
know.
It depends, but we started with 15 and now we're 11.
Okay.
Okay. GA, how much free space do you have in IMD?
I think especially IMD, we do have a lot of space, free space to do whatever you want to do, either like electronics, very design, or like going, or something analog artworks. I think we do have a lot of free space to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. However, I think that since there are several courses over the years, that it's not like that you're expected to know already when you go in there. So there's a lot of opportunities to learn completely new things. So things that might not be your thing at first can turn out to be like your thing after all. And from that moment on, you do have like, indeed,
Yeah,
like
that's a
space
good point.
to put that also in the other courses and combine.
Because we have such a variety of classes that we are exposed to all kinds of media. So I think at the end of the year or second year, I guess we will know more what we are attracted to.
But yeah, I also think it's, especially in an art school, also a bit up to yourself, because we have several workshops here in the academy, and those include woodworking, metalworking, print, the list goes on. And you know, you also have to sort of nurture your interest and go to them, and you know, they won't ask it of you, but if you should go there, and then you can also, I feel like, implement that.
Yeah,
Good addition.
good addition. Back to the top.
Back to the topic.
Okay, Thais, how's work pressure in IMD?
I mean, I already said that in my last answer, I think. It's intense. I personally had to adapt to presenting a lot, but then also, you know, it has its perks. You do see yourself being more comfortable with presenting, especially to your group, and getting feedback. And that's also, I feel, realistic to, you know, the world outside of the academy, where you also, you know, deal with the world.
But I do really agree with Thijs, because in the beginning of the first year, we had so many presentations every week. So I did prepare, but throughout the semester and throughout the school years, now that we have so many presentations to present our work process or final, that at one point I just don't have to prepare and can just say it.
Yeah, and I think the pressure doesn't only come from the amount of like assignments that we have, but also like that. Also, I think also especially within our group, how I experience it, that there's a lot of intrinsic motivation, and that intrinsic motivation makes you really want to work hard, and in the sense that the work should be as it should be, and that makes the pressure higher. But that's not something that comes from like the curriculum, but like comes from something that gets triggered by the curriculum, but like is in the end something that you do to yourself. So like us working all night, you know, like that's not something mandatory, but it happens after all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But be prepared. If you, I mean, it will happen. Next. Thijs. What we say is, how is the group relationship with the teachers?
I mean, it really depends, because you're dealing with people, so obviously it's a personal matter, but also there is a group dynamic, and you see these teachers, and you know, since the group is so small, you sort of get to know each other, at least I feel like. And so a group dynamic, I mean, it really depends. I feel like it always was a safe space for us. You know, sometimes you get critique, but it's something you have to get used to. I mean, we're going to a real world after these 4 years, so yeah, I don't.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's not gonna be best relationship with all the teachers, but then I do think that there are so many good teachers that you get to really talk about other than just academics or curriculums, just about your art practice and about just thoughts in your, I don't know, in you.
Yeah, and I think it's quite special within our education that we have several classes and a different teacher for every class, and then it's just one teacher and 11 students, and we get to see them every week for several hours per day, which is, I mean, now it's quite normal to us after like these 1.5 years, but if you compare that to other like schools, universities, like that's super rare, and actually really great that we do. I mean, it's not always nice to have to bring up stuff every week and to get feedback every week, but at the same time, it's great that there is the opportunity. Like it stimulates the development a lot.
Good.
Good.
Get back to the question.
I have a question for both of you, but let's start with GA. Why did you choose IMD?
Why did I choose IMD is, I think even a lot of teachers ask me how me, South Korean, ended up being in the Netherlands, is because I was looking for something that I could do with media and technology and design. And I actually searched a lot of schools, like in the States, in Canada, in Europe, and like a lot of countries. And I found this school that talks about like that human is centered around in this department, and I think that sentence really attracted me to apply for this. That's why I'm here.
Great. For me, it was, I started my education at the Technical University at Mechanical Engineering, and there I got a very strong feeling that the take that there was on technology didn't fit at all what like my desires of technology. But not only that, but also that there wasn't really room to like reflect on that, or that there was no stimulation to really reflect on that. So after like a while, I found out about IMD, and that was basically like how it came across to me. That was more or less the core of like thinking about technology in its context and not only working with technology but also like thinking about what is the role of that technology and why should we do it this way and is there an alternative, whereas within the technical university there was not like an alternative, there was just one way that was stimulated by certain powers in a sense. So I like it that IMD is like reflecting on that and giving space to like search for that. Yeah.
It's a good answer.
Do you want to tell why you chose IMD?
Well, I mean, I come from a graphical background, and now that you said your background, I feel like it's also worth mentioning that we're all not straight out of high school. I think we're 24, you're 25. So we all have a background, and so you don't have to come straight out of high school. You can do this after that, like we did. But my decision, I think...
Something brought you here, I guess.
Well, I mean, I like graphic design, but then also I wanted something more, and that's also what I talked about in my interview. And, you know, I sort of went in that interview a bit skeptical, and, you know, out of that conversation, really, I got reassurance that it was a fit for me, because, like you said, we get space to do our own thing, which I like.
Okay. I have a good question to ask the next one. Have you considered dropping out?
Yeah. Well, I think that what we...
And why didn't you? Why are you still here?
I mean, it's just nice. Well, I think all of us kind of at some point that you're like, oh. And so for me, there wasn't not at all a serious moment that I really thought about dropping out. But I mean, since it's vague in a sense and new and explorative, that sometimes you don't know what you expected, but you do wonder if it does really meet the non-expectedness and if it is not too far away from it, and then at some point you get a drive again and then you feel like, no, it's good. And so, yeah. But then some people do find out during the first year that it's not their thing, and that can happen. So, yeah. That's it for me. Are you?
Me?
Yeah?
To be honest, I have thought about it, but I mean, I did think about it, but then at the end of this thought process, my mind was leaning more to stay and wanting to find out more about the courses and about art in this department, and I really like you guys, so I wanted to stay with you guys.
That's great. I have a question specifically for you, since we're Dutch. How is life for a non-Dutch in the Netherlands?
Many years in my life, I think I lived as a foreigner, and it was my first time living in Europe and living as a non-Dutch in the Netherlands. I mean, before I came, it sounded good because, you know, it's such a bilingual country and then a lot of speak English. But then I did face difficulties and also a lot of xenophobic people. But then as many weird and mean and bad people I met, I think I did also meet good people and also like loving and kind. Or I think I might have met more of those. So I think that's what making me stay here.
That's good. For here.
Well, I have a question, and it's for GA as well. To what extent do you learn things from your peers? So, us.
From you guys. Actually, I think I do learn a lot of things from my peers and classmates and just people around in art school. Not only about design and art, but also just in general that we're so different in personalities and cultures that I get to see the differences, which makes me think about it, and I do get the positive influence. So it's good.
Nice. think that were the prepared questions, I guess.
That was the prepared questions.
Yeah.
So what about the unprepared questions? What was the highlight? Because you are now you're going to your second semester. And what was a highlight of the past year, despite the situation we're in, the pandemic? And what was a low moment? And I'm going to start with Pam.
The highlight, like from this specific semester, from the second year.
Because you spoke before more about your first year experience also, and thinking about all the doubts that you have, but now you're more rooted. So now we're going to switch to the second year.
Second year, yeah. Well, I think that I mean it's been touched upon during this talk, but I think that like the comfort that we have in our group and like in all of us in ourselves also a bit more, that there's like, despite the fact that every other week is now online, it's like still going on very well, like our creative processes. However, which is the other side is that, I mean, sometimes things, I mean, you have to like book certain rooms, and sometimes there are difficulties with that room, and then since you only have like class in school every other week, then sometimes like a process does like, like you have to wait 2 weeks to continue with something, and that's sometimes hard to like get in that process. So that's something that would have been nicer without Corona, but I think that's on every layer in the society, that there are things that would have been nicer. So
Okay. And Thijs?
So are we talking last year or?
No, this year. Yeah, not past semester, but now let's focus a bit more on the second year, how you experience this as students of the second year. I can say highlight, but also have you found more of an identity? Because the first year you learn a lot of skills, which is, quite, lots of people panic because, oh my God, this is a lot. But then suddenly in the second year, I always see that students sort of like calm down and they use those as tools to express themselves more.
Yeah.
So did you experience that?
I mean, you did tell us about that, and at the time I was like, we'll see about that.
In the first year.
But then, I guess naturally within our group there was a calm, but I personally also feel that. And then especially with maybe a medium that I didn't necessarily thought that I would like.
Right.
I've really found a way where I can express myself and grow with as a maker but also as a person.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. And you? Yay.
My highlight of the second year. I think compared to first year, we had a lot of long projects, which made me lead, put me as a leader of the project, to be really like thinking about the concept and what I would do for this project. So that was really nice for the second semester.
Okay, good. You just had your collectives, which were very good. So I'm very happy to say goodbye to the second year students. We're going to go for a short break and then we'll be back. Thank you. So again, welcome back after this short break. I will now give the floor and the word to the third-year students. They will introduce themselves again, and they will have a conversation amongst themselves.
Yeah, so hi, my name is Jeroen. I'm a third-year student from Interactive Media Design, and my background is actually in psychology and philosophy. After exploring these topics, I found myself coming to art school.
Nice. Hello, I am Xiao Yao, and I came from China. Very exciting time spent here, I think. Yeah,
And I'm Marco, Italian. I came here also with a completely different background. I was a front-end developer, still am, which is a glorified version of a web developer. And yeah, it was a completely different background, and now I'm also here with all of you.
Yeah, and so yeah, we would like to kind of take you through what it's like to study at IMD, and then more specifically what it's like to be in the third year. Because in the third year, after you've taken your time to develop certain skills and yeah, just get good at using several tools to express yourself, you start practicing professional practices. And that means learning what it means to actually be in a professional environment, for example, with a client who has an assignment for you. And during this first semester, us three, me, Marco, and Xiaoyao, we collaborated actually, doing a professional client assignment, which was assigned to us by the province of South Holland. So quite a large organization. We even got a budget to produce what we wanted to make our prototype. So I think it might be nice to have a conversation about what it was like to do that client assignment. Yeah, is there anything you guys want to say about that?
I can start.
Uh-huh.
And it's a really precious opportunity to me because I came straight from high school and I really had no working experiences before. And so actually before starting this project, I was a bit nervous. But then I got really lucky that I worked with Marco and Jeroen, and they were my very nice, they were my good friends. And I think we also work good along together. And so that is really relieving for me. And actually also because I wouldn't think me in the first year would have the confidence to do this. But now after building up my skills and after figuring out how it works with different mediums, I trust myself and I also trust my peers. I trust them to make good work.
Yeah, and can you maybe say something about what the assignment was?
Yeah. So the assignment was to build a project installation based on the smart city or smart data collection poles that the province have already built along the boulevard. So those poles, for now, they're actually monitoring they're collecting sound data from, because there are a lot of beach clubs around that area. So they're collecting, if this is too loud or not, if the wind is blowing toward the sea, then maybe they actually can have their volume louder, or if it's blowing towards the city, then they have to lower it down. And our goal is to introduce the data awareness to people, because not everyone trusts the collection of their personal data, and even if they trust, they probably have no idea what the government or what the organization is doing using those data.
Yeah, so the assignment was how to communicate and promote also awareness of data collection in the smart city. And we had a certain approach to that, so perhaps Marco, you could speak to what that approach was.
Yes, so we really choose, I think, an iconic element of Dutch culture and in general culture, I would say, which is the flaneur, this weird character who has been mentioned since the 19th century and is quite recurrent in contemporary art and modern art. We thought it really embodied the concept of the visualization that we wanted to output, in the sense that a flaneur is someone who, by definition, sees and wants to be seen. And that really reflects our mission in this project to be to enhance the situational awareness of people that maybe are just having a casual strolling on the boulevard, to just bring them back to the present moment and make them really conscious. Am I being watched? What am I watching? And what is happening really around me? Am I conscious of it? Which is something that normally doesn't happen during a passive activity that is like strolling along the beach.
Yeah, exactly. I remember our kind of mission statement was how to invite people to engage in a reflective walking practice about data collection in the smart city. And we did this by kind of making a very almost seductive installation, which is a light installation using a laser. And this laser kind of delineates the area where the data is being collected. Since data collection is a very abstract concept, people don't have a clue what to imagine with this concept. So we made a kind of a clear visual communication of what it's like by making a cone of light. And within this cone of light, that's where your data is being collected. And then we place sensors, like movement sensors, which are tracking the passerbys based on infrared light. And they can then see how people are walking through the area. And so we try to kind of make this visualization clear to people who have no clue about what data collection means. And we submitted that to the province, and now they will choose one of our projects from our year and the second year. Two of our projects. And one of them will be selected and that will actually be executed and realized, which is very cool.
I think, like, if I can conclude about this, like, I think what you can expect from the third year is really, like, this project is really a metaphor of it, in the sense that in the first 2 years you're really expected to fail and to experiment and to try all the different mediums. And you're kind of in a safe space to do that. So you're not criticized on your failure, you're actually encouraged in trying things that may fail and may yield to interesting results. Whereas the third year, like, this project is really bringing you into the world and showing you what do you have to expect from the professional environment. So also, for example, Jeroen mentioned the mediums that we used are lasers and sensors and stuff that can sound really expensive maybe, but we also were provided with a budget and then our own skill to develop in this particular aspect was to manage our budget and to make the most out of it and try to use it smartly. So that's also, like, very practical, very practical aspects of the field.
Can I ask you a question? Can you talk a bit about the development from the first year to now? Because of course we've had the first year, the second year present, but you've been through this all. Who were you when you entered, and who are you now? What's the difference? What happened?
Well, that's a huge difference. That's really a big difference. If I look back to myself, at least in the first year. I was just very incapable of producing much with the computer, or even just drawing, or like all these creative skills that people normally associate with an art school. I did not have them, and that made me feel almost like powerless and insecure. But then in the first year you get so many opportunities to build and to make, So the first year you get like assignments every single week. You have to produce something every single week, which gives you so many opportunities to learn. And then to the second year, you kind of use those skills to start to define your identity, how you want to express yourself, and slowly building up towards the third year, where you're really like giving yourself a, kind of like a, how do you want to express yourself and how do you want to communicate yourself to the world?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm wondering what you guys thought in that change.
I think, the first year is a very weird year, intense year, because you're really confronted with a reality that may be completely different. Even if you come from the art world, I think KBK has a very particular mentality that you will learn to appreciate. But at first, I think it's really important to really understand what is your role here and in the field when you go out. And I like a quote always comes to my mind, which is a quote you will hear a awful lot when you come here, especially in the first months, which is that artists don't create tools to solve problems. They actually invent new problems. So you will learn this a lot, and you will learn that you will be persuaded and convinced that you are not in another professional field. So if you're called to design something for an hospital, for example, like we did in the second year, you are not a doctor, so you shouldn't pretend to create solutions for the problem, but rather like enhance and highlight the contradictions and the problems that still are not really seen. So always going a step ahead of what could be normally seen as a design process.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing that you will have to learn to embrace a lot at first. And when you embrace that, and when you learn to fail and see the beauty in failure, then you're really,
Sky is the limit.
the sky's the limit.
Yeah, I also have something to add about that, because I think the biggest change for me from the first year to the third year is that I became more open. So the first year, before coming to IMD, I already worked with a lot of traditional art mediums like graphic design and also fine arts, painting. And in the first year, I still try to use my old practices, which I think it was not ideal. But then after, I don't know, torture, not torture, but it was really a lot of assignment in different workshops. After pushing myself through exploring these different practices, and actually the most difficult part for me is to accepting of those first works that I made with a new medium. And now when I look back to them, I still feel they're terrible. Like, I still don't want to look at them. But it is those works which got me here, which got me over my, which pushes me to take the risks. And now slowly building up the skills. And also I'm more willing to take risks to explore new mediums, and to, if it doesn't work, also to reach out to other people to look for help. Like, accept that you are not perfect. You're not meant to be perfect here. You're just starting, and it's a long journey waiting ahead.
Yeah, I agree.
And a hard truth is that you will cringe a lot to your first year works. But that means that you've grown a lot, and it's incredible. Like, if you are in the third year, even in the second year, and you look back at what you've done and what you are now, not only on a professional level, also on a personal level, the growth that this school offers, I think, is the most incredibly valuable thing that you will get out of the KBK experience.
Yeah, true. And there's another thing I want to mention is the collaborative part of our department, and how we really have like a big community of like incredibly diverse and rich mix of people from so many different cultures.
It's a small community, but super like
yeah.
we're a family, but then it feels like big because everyone is from everywhere in the world and everyone has completely different views and completely different opinions. And
I don't know if it was spoken about before, but we have this this thing which we do each Friday since Corona is the I make dinner practice, which means actually that we every week we change somebody from another culture who gets to cook with the entire department. So we send out a menu, everyone gets the ingredients, and then online through Teams or through Zoom,
And the garden.
we all cook the same thing. But another thing that we did as a community was the garden project, which is interesting.
And are still doing. I mean, you're
It's
you're the keepers of the garden.
going on project.
Guardians.
Yeah. So the garden project, the Binnentown, it's called, actually started from a class called Design for Life, and started with 20 students, which was us in the first year, and to transform a piece of empty space, actually really empty, really useless space, into a community space where everyone is welcome to enter, to reflect, to take a rest, to meditate there. And it's a long process, but then here we are. Marco, maybe you have some memories of
I do.
how did we start it?
I think, at first it was really like, it was honestly discouraging to see this completely empty space, small and dark space.
Yeah, the most
And the
depressing
mission
space.
was to bring it literally to life. The course is called Design for Life, and that seemed like utopia at the start. But then, to be honest, like this course was also a metaphor for the whole KBK course, for the whole IMD course, which is take steps slowly. Don't think about perfection at first try. You know, when you build things one on top of each other, then you're really making progress. And it started really slowly, and it was also the first time that we actually already started involving the community around the KBK to participate in the project. So it was also kind of a marketing sector of the group, and that was going around the shops and asking for collaboration and for giving us green waste. So the garden is started from scratch, like everything, even the compost is really started from scratch and from end-of-life materials.
Yeah, everything is recycled.
Yeah, everything is recycled. And at first it started, slowly, but now we're in third year and the garden is still here and it's as beautiful as ever. There are more plans to make it smart and self-sustaining through the courses of electronics that you will have. And I think also a big take from this course in particular is the fact that this school really gives you the possibility to achieve what you want. If you're convinced enough, if you have a good project, a good concept, a good intention, because for example at first the garden was supposed to be a year-long project, and after that it had to be dismantled, which is also why we're a bit discouraged. But then the school allowed us to make it for the long run, and now it's still there, and we hope you see it when you come here and you can collaborate.
Yeah, go check out our Instagram, and I think there will be also a video, short video after all our presentations today, showing off the garden. But I just want to mention one more thing, which speaks to the versatility of the Department of Interactive Media Design, because you learn to work with electronics, you learn to code, you learn to use the computer with all its capabilities, but you also learn how to grow plants. And that dichotomy in a sense, and fusing that together is to me what's very beautiful.
And then you learn how to use electronics to talk to plants, or they talk to you.
Exactly.
And that's the future, I believe. Like we are imagining the future.
Okay, guys, thank you very much for this interesting conversation. So we have to close now. I'll turn to this camera and say we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. I want to introduce you now to the fourth year students, represented by two ladies who are part of a trio who call themselves the Witches, so the Switch Witches. You can introduce yourselves and you can start your presentation.
Hi, I'm Ella. I'm Pamela. And we're in the fourth year of IMD. Well, together with Ines, who cannot be here, she's enjoying the sun in Bali. We are the Switches, basically. So we formed this collective last year. And basically, we wanted to bring back the witch as this feminist figure, but also incorporate these questions that arise nowadays, which are, what's up with technology, basically. As you might have already heard in the previous talks, this is a degree that really questions technology, uses technology, so it's both a subject and medium of criticism. And that is what we wanted to do with Switches. I don't know if you get the joke, but it's witches with switch, so Switches.
Yeah, and you can see our manifesto in the background. We wrote this last year. And basically what's also important about Switches is that so Ines, Pamela and me, we came together because we were a bit tired of this individuality that happens a lot at art academies, that everyone is like doing their own projects and their own artworks, and we just really also found like strength in working together, and also saw that it just makes sense for the three of us. So that's why we came together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we will explore for graduation what happens, but we also, we want to introduce the possibility of collaborating. It is often, your graduation project is a very personal thing, like you are alone in it, it's your own journey. Of course, you can collaborate with externals, but basically all your classmates are in the same own journey, and we want to explore if we can come together with our own individual projects, but then forming a whole all together, and then introducing this community aspect that is necessary in the world. Like the world cannot continue to be so individualistic as we already saw, especially during this pandemic, for example.
Do you have questions for each other?
Maybe what surprised you the most about IMD, having studied 3.5 years now?
Surprise, I think still the vibe, and it never stops being weird and fun, you know, like every time, I don't know, you come to school and something happens and you're like, no way, that happened, oh my God, that's, wow, really just here, you know, and I don't know, when you try to explain to people that don't study here what happens in your school or anecdotes or, and then we did this and that, and I did this project and this and that, and I was wearing this, and this happened, and this was playing, and they're like, what? But what do you do? Like, what is it, you know? And that always keeps surprising me, how it is fun, but it's also so strong in a way. Like surprise, basically.
Yeah, I think it's just hard to summarize the whole experience in a few words, because I think especially, I mean, now it's maybe a bit harder to catch the vibe of KABK and IMD, but I really also felt a lot that every day I would go to KABK or IMD or work on my project, that there could just always be a surprise. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, that also, especially when you're at the start of a project, you never really know what's going to be the outcome, and then I think there's just like a lot of changes in the process and in between, and I think especially in IMD, it's also a degree that allows you to those changes, and that you can adapt also, and that you can experiment so much with so many different medias and forms of exhibition, and it's just also in a way so free, which makes it very playful.
And for example, how do you end up here? Like, did you know it was going to be so intermedia and playful, and you were going to explore a lot, or did you have like a clear goal in mind?
No, I mean, I think for me, I chose IMD because I didn't want to directly focus on one medium. Like, I was interested in film, but then I really didn't just want to make films, and I think really what I learned here is that there's just such a range of possibilities and also how to combine things, and it's just like you have like all these ingredients and you can put them together, and I think already
in my first week at IMD, we had this first week, and we made like this whole data funeral, and there was like it was a performance and an installation, and there was a drone, and there was like so many things going on. And I was really like, wow.
In your first week?
In the first week. I was really like, wow, okay, this is for me, I think, because it's just, I don't know, it's like you never stop exploring. There's just so many things happening, and I think it still is like this.
It's still like that, yeah. Yeah, and in our graduations project, do you feel like it's still this kind of mix, collage?
Yeah, it's just, yeah, very collagey. Yeah, it's like a mosaic or something that you put.
Yeah, I think especially you and me and maybe Ines. I mean, I talk about us because it's the people I know the most, what we're doing. It's very like, there's all these things happening that come together in a concept, and that tends to happen in IMD, like because in the first and second years you get so many different classes, and yeah, really everything. Like in our case, like really sound design, electronics, moving image, graphic design, visualization, interaction design, like all these things, and of course you don't know what you're good at. You just see, you know, and then you see like, oh, I have all these skills, and I'm actually incorporating skills that I learned in the first year, this year. Like, for me, it's not even like, oh, I chose this path, like this is my medium. It's on the contrary, like, oh, I have all these little things I know about, I'm just gonna put them there, and they come together because I'm gonna make them come together. And I think that's what ends up happening in IMD. Yeah. But already if you see like our whole, the graduates now, the graduate group, it is so intermediate. Some people are working with VR, and some people are exploring architecture, like how to shift architecture and the body, how can, like a very physical space, and some people are going for like a really virtual space, you know. And some people are putting these two spaces together. So you can already see, and if you come to our graduation show, you will see how all this really, like, yeah, what is it? And everyone is just doing something so completely different. It really doesn't fit in the box, really. Mm-hmm.
Do you also feel that I mean, because, you know, 30, 40 years ago, gaming as an industry didn't exist. Do you feel that you're also, by making these combinations, are creating new jobs or new perspectives on how jobs could be, or how work could be in the future, how society can look?
Well, I think for me, it taught me really to learn, to see the world out of these boxes, you know, because I think especially the gaming industry, like, I never saw myself being part of the gaming industry like that. That was never my thing. But then I think one of the strongest work we did was with the game engine. Yeah. So.
No, but I also mean, you know, gaming industry was not, you know, gaming was fun. That you actually could make money with it is new. It's a profession now. And of course, what you guys are doing, you're making combinations that are not, you know, run of the mill. They're out of the box, so you create perhaps new professions. Do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, I do keep telling people when they ask me, like, what do you do, what do you see? I keep referring to the future, because I cannot tell them exactly now what is going to happen. And okay, yeah, maybe I can say, yeah, I want to get into performance, theater, but new media, etc. But I also keep saying, like, yeah, but you know, like, technology is coming. Like, I cannot put myself in the same position as a graphic designer, what they would say they want to do with their career when we know graphic design for such a long time. I cannot say the same thing, because this degree is, not only the degree, but the field is constantly evolving. Every year it changes. Also the program, now it's like getting consolidated in a way, but we also went through like major changes, which I think is great. Like it's a fluidity, it's queer, really. It's what it should be, really, you know? Like I'm not pro one specific field you do and you don't know anything about anything else. But I do keep telling you, like, no, like, I don't know, I can see, yeah, maybe, you know, maybe I want to be an artist, but maybe I also really like wearables, and wearable electronics are coming. We're not yet wearing electronics. They're there, like, the possibilities are there, but we don't do it yet, and I have the knowledge. If I ever want to be just a designer of wearable electronics and get into a company even, I don't know if I want to do that, but I have the knowledge, I have the way of thinking to do that, you know, so it definitely refers to the future, because maybe now we're not wearing it yet, but I don't know, in 20 years, I look at what I don't know, the internet, in 20 years, what it happened with the internet. We're like in the internet now, you know. 20 years ago, it was like, no, it's something else. So that's definitely the way to see it, for sure.
And for you, Ella, because, you know, I also mentioned before that as you say, you don't know what you're exactly going to be, but you're very versatile because you have the skills. But the interesting thing, of course, of a design design education in art school is that you have a totally different environment than, for instance, what Pam said, who did the technical university first, which is very much focused on the commercial side or the production side of technology. And here it's used through the lens of, say, an artistic perspective. So you question it in a different way. So how do you incorporate that into your work? Because you work a lot with video, you work with performance and interaction. How does that artistic environment stimulate you and inspire you?
Well, I think what I like about IMD is that I felt like I never really had to choose being an artist or a designer because it's so much at the intersection of it that it just constantly influences each other, and also in my working process, because I don't think I approach a work like, okay, this is going to be an artwork or this is going to be a design tool that is going to do this and this, but it's like really, I think they're just so much affecting each other that I still don't know how I would refer to myself, and I think also Pamela doesn't know, and also Ines and other people in our class, they don't know, because it's just such a blur between them, which I really value, because I feel like at other schools and other departments, you are much more pushed into one box, or that you feel like you have to fit into a specific box. And I think it's also nice because I feel like for me, it also does liberate me in a sense to look into the future and not, like I don't feel like I have to choose, I want to be an independent artist and only applying to artist residencies. But I also feel like I do have the knowledge to go to a design studio and do something else, or make websites, or I don't know, as Pam said, make wearable clothes. I don't know, there's just so many possibilities, and I think why this works for me, or also for us and other people, is that there's just so much fluidity and flexibility that it's just liberating in a sense. Yeah.
What are your plans for after school? Because of course now you're in your last year. From doing a lot of collaborative work, you are now on your own, although you always collaborate, because that's naturally your interest, and I think it's very good. How do you prepare, and how does the department prepare you for life after school in this last year? There's of course still a lot to come.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, but can you tell a bit more about the structure of the course in the fourth year?
The fourth year or the future of after fourth year?
No, let's start with the
fourth year, and then we jump.
How do they give you the foundation then to go to the future?
Well, first of all, we have this class from the third year, which is called Professional Practice Skills, which I do like mentioning because it is like a very structured class. Like it's not about making; it's about like knowing what the real world looks like and how it works, and you get all these skills to be an artist or a designer or just a person or a freelancer. Yeah, all these skills to just be a person in the world, how to deal with bureaucracy, at least in the Netherlands or in Europe, which is kind of similar in the West in general. So that is like for sure really useful. And then of course we have the more creative part, which is the thesis. So it's more theoretical, and then the project, which is more practical. And these two also come together they basically have to feed off each other. They don't have to be about the same thing, but they have to, in a way, support each other. Yeah, like make each other better or add to the conversation of each other. Yeah. And it's like, it is a really great moment to gather all this knowledge. You know, like sometimes I try to think if I miss having class, and then I also think like, no, it's so cool. I have all these skills, and I have time for myself and to explore them and discover all these new things that I'm self-teaching myself also. And I already had 3 really good years of really good classes, so I'm like, now I definitely can just let myself go and create something. So it is a really good moment to just breathe and make this super cool thing. That is, in the end, it's so important, the graduation, because it is gonna, I mean, in a way, if you want it, it can already position you where you want to be. Also, it can be that it's not, and then you change completely who you want to be. I'm pro change, you know, do whatever you want, like quit if you want, I don't know. But it's really nice if you do have like this vision to have this opportunity to already put it in practice and have here them everything, all the help, all the teachers helping you, all the workshops, the space to do it, and the people that come, the press, whatever, you know, and then just go for that.
Yeah. And for you, how do you experience the fourth year? Because it's, of course, you know, there's a piece of loneliness, and especially, you know, during this pandemic, it's very difficult. But how do you experience it? Because you sometimes work from Germany, and
yes.
then you're
I
back.
mean, it's more flexible this time. No, I think in general it's just very different. I mean, obviously the whole situation is also affecting it, but it's just, yeah, already as Pam said, you're much more independent than before, because in the first 3 years you really have like classes almost every day, and there's just much more structure. Now you're really free, which I think on the one hand is very useful, because yeah, you have to think about your project. It just needs so much time and space, and then you can also do all these other things, and usually you can also just go out and seek inspiration somewhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's more on the internet, I guess. And yeah, I think what also helps is probably that there's quite a nice community vibe in IMD itself, so we are actually also stay in touch with people who graduated, and that also obviously really helps to have a projection of what's going to happen afterwards. Like we now are we have a studio in a place where there's also some alumni, so there's like still, I don't know, you just still know each other, and we're also still friends with other people, and I think that just also really helps, and some people stay here, so you can also work on projects together. For example, Pam, she's getting a lot of help from one of the alumni, and yeah, I think that's also just nice and helps, especially now these days.
Yeah. What advice would you give people who are thinking of signing up for IMD? What was for you the reason to actually come to IMD? Because now we talk about the end, but what was it the beginning? Who were you in the beginning?
Well, I'll start. I was actually studying architecture before. I did 2 years of architecture, and at some point I got a lot into the media. I really liked electronic music and in general media, electronics, technology. Then I at some point decided I want to do this with my architecture career. And then I realized it was not really the easiest way nor the most intelligent way to do it. And that's where I started to look for programs in the world where I could study art and technology, you know. And IMD was one of them. And I don't know, if you try to look for programs that deal with art and technology, you will find they all have different names. They all have this like really fluidity. No one really wants to name themselves, because you're not signing up for graphic design or architecture, and that's why you're gonna study, you know. It's like, no, it's like media, whatever that means, you know, and however the school wants to take it. And I remember IMD was really one of my first options. Actually the first option, because I just really got a good vibe already from the website, and then from reading about the program and so on. And basically I thought, okay, I really get a good vibe from this, but I do want to go to the interview in person. I was living in Spain, so it was not like I had to come all the way from Mexico, but I was able to do it. And really, I remember coming, and it's such a cool school, really. I don't know if you've been here, but you should check it out. It's like a really cool place with really cool vibes. And I remember these posters that said, good artists study, great artists party. Really, in my first time I came to the academy. And I really liked partying, so I was like, oh my God, this is the place for me. And it's interesting because I don't know, I am like really hard working here. I consider myself to be like a really good student. But I'm also like a really party person, and it's interesting, in this school you can feel these two things come together. They're not enemies, to party and to study. You know, to be a good student and to be a good partier, they come together. And obviously not now in Corona, but in general, we have so many parties here. Like the craziest things happen. You're suddenly like in this tiny room.
We study a lot.
No, but that's the thing. It's part of being who you want to be, and it's part of being an artist, you know, and I don't know, it complements. And if you are, whatever type of art you make, you can put it there in the party, you know, and that can also be. So it just really comes together. It's not like a place where things are segregated, and this doesn't come with that. Like, it just comes together.
Yeah, there's a lot of work being used to start a party around. Ella.
Well, I think I ended up in IMD because I didn't want to commit to
Yeah,
anything specific.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
I just didn't want to make that decision.
yeah. And now?
I think now I have more focus. I mean, I think now I'm really happy that I didn't make that decision like almost 4 years ago. And no, now I also see that I'm just also skilled, or I have interest in other things, and that I can just combine them. Like it doesn't need to be, as I said, only a video. But now I'm really working at the intersection of performance and video, and I think that's just much more interesting for me, and I have more passion for it. And I think that's
Okay. So ladies, switches, thank you very much for this wonderful conversation. And I'm going to turn to this camera, and I'm going to thank everybody for watching, because this was the end. We're going to finish with a small clip of our Binnentuin, the KABK garden, which was started in the first year of IMD. So thanks for joining. And we're so sorry that the Interactive Media Design Department was not able to go live online. But hey, you know, that brings us back to the subject. Let's stay critical about technology. Let's embrace it, but also stay critical and creative around it. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the future live. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's so fulfilling to see something that you're helping grow.
This garden work came out great. If we put in effort into it, it will become like our baby or like our second home.
I see the garden in the future being a, on its own standing, functioning organism that like a very innovative way of learning.
By building this garden from scratch, we really learn how to...
I think it's really inspiring. It's really easy to do also at home, and you see how it grows, and you see it's living.
I also think it can become a symbol of the academy.
create a community space with our own little community.
You see it's living. I think it's really inspiring.
To create a community space with our own little community. By building this garden from scratch, you really learn how to...
I'm really into meditation.
That we have to be very conscious about the environment, and by building this